It is 1,300 hours over the western Pacific Ocean, just 400 nautical miles east of the Mariana Trench, the deepest, most unforgiving expanse on Earth. At this moment, aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt CVN-71, a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the vessel is not confronting a guided missile, it is confronting entropy, the unyielding enemy of all complex machines. This is a story about the constant, invisible war waged daily against a catastrophic shipboard fire, a battle where the stakes are a $4.5 billion asset and the lives of over 5,000 souls.
We will analyze the procedural discipline and cutting-edge technology that keeps a floating airbase operational in the face of its most persistent internal threat. The Theodore Roosevelt is a city at sea, powered by two A4W nuclear reactors and displacing over 100,000 tons of water. Its mission is to project American power, and that power is fundamentally tied to the Carrier Air Wing, or CVW, which includes 44 FA-18E and F Super Hornets and EA-18G Growlers. These aircraft require hundreds of thousands of gallons of JP-5 aviation jet fuel stored in internal tanks and are armed with thousands of pounds of high-explosive ordnance like the AIM-9X Sidewinder and AGM-88 Harm.
This concentration of volatile materials, confined within a steel hull, means that fire is not a possibility, it is an eventuality. The mission type is standard presence and deterrence, but the constant internal objective is damage control, maintaining the structural integrity and operational readiness of the platform against all threats, foreign and domestic. The crucible of this threat is the flight deck, specifically during cyclic operations, the continuous launch and recovery sequence. An aircraft-related incident is the most immediate vector for catastrophe.
Consider a procedural anomaly. A Super Hornet approaching for a trap experiences a hard landing, the tailhook missing the arresting gear wire. As the pilot immediately pushes the throttles to military power, the jet begins to experience an engine fire due to a fuel line rupture. Simultaneously, the primary flight control officer, PryFly, initiates the emergency protocol. This is where technical granularity transforms the outcome. The initial alert goes out over the 1MC general announcing system. A Class Alpha fire is reported at frame 170, stanchion 2. This is not a drill. This is a hot deck scenario.
The Flight Deck Control Officer, or FDC, immediately activates the Countermeasure Washdown System, or CMWDS, on the affected area. This is a network of nozzles designed to spray a thin, high-pressure layer of seawater to cool the deck and mitigate fuel spills. Simultaneously, the Crash and Salvage Team, or V1 Division, sprints into action. They are not using generic hoses, they are deploying the PKP, or Purple K powder fire extinguisher, a potassium bicarbonate agent specifically effective against liquid fuel fires, which is superior to water for Class B flammable liquid incidents. The AFFF firefighting apparatus is being primed.
Within seconds, the most critical decision is made by the nozzleman leading the fire party. He directs the AFFF seawater stream not just onto the flames, but to create a boundary layer around the aircraft, isolating the burning jet from adjacent ordnance and other Super Hornets. The principles of tactical firefighting are isolate, cool, smother. The sheer physical force required to manage a high-pressure fire hose delivering over 100 gallons per minute necessitates the immediate presence of a hose team, a plugman, nozzleman, and 2 to 3 hosemen working in a coordinated gait.
This action is a pure study in physics and procedural discipline. The team utilizes the limited visibility to crawl low, using the deck to shield them from radiant heat, an environment that can reach 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Every second counts,
because the longer the blaze continues, the higher the risk of a sympathetic detonation of the stored ordnance. The turning point occurs when the Damage Control Central, or DCC, the ship's nerve center for all casualty control, activates the hangar deck overhead deluge system, not because the fire is there, but as a preventative measure. This system pumps thousands of gallons of AFFF into the vast hangar bay below.
The decisive procedural action, however, is on the flight deck. The nozzleman calls for the PKP bottle to be emptied, applying a chemical knockdown agent to the base of the fire to interrupt the fuel's chemical reaction. Concurrently, the relief nozzleman takes over, ensuring the lead sailor does not succumb to heat exhaustion and compromise the attack front. In the digital battle space, information is the only hard currency, but in the physical battle space, skill and stamina are equally vital.
The immediate, targeted application of the PKP and the strategic blanketing of the jet in AFFF breaks the chain reaction. The intense orange flare begins to die down, reduced to glowing embers and steam. The confirmed outcome is a successful casualty containment. The affected Super Hornet is scorched, but recoverable. Crucially, the fire was confined and extinguished before it could breach the flight deck and propagate into the hangar bay, or, worse, compromise the ship's primary fuel tanks or the A4W reactor compartment. This incident, though minor in the outcome, provides invaluable data.
The sensors embedded throughout the hull provide real-time thermal mapping, logging the precise material stress and heat flux. The lesson learned is absolute. The superiority of pre-engineered systems like the AFF Deluge and CMW-DS is only realized through the impeccable rote-learned performance of the Damage Controlman, DC. The USS Bonhomme Richard fire, a non-combat in-port incident that destroyed a $2 billion asset, serves as the permanent grim reminder that complacency is the most lethal enemy. The high-level strategic takeaway from this perpetual conflict with fire is one of systemic redundancy and human mastery. A modern naval platform is defined not just by its weapon systems, but by its ability to absorb and survive punishment. The DC rating, the Damage Controlman, is the final and most critical line of defense. The constant training, often involving international joint exercises like the one at the Farrier firefighting facility, emphasizes that, across all navies, regardless of flag or doctrine, the principles of isolation, containment, and extinguishment remain universal and absolute. The readiness of a carrier strike group is, ultimately, a measure of its procedural resilience. Modern naval warfare, for all its dazzling technology, remains a deeply human undertaking, where the ability to manage a runaway chemical reaction within a steel box is as vital as the performance of the AN over APG-79 AESA radar. The entire power projection capacity of a nation rests upon the disciplined hands of sailors who know how to keep a catastrophe from igniting.